Electricast.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA.
This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV, it's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, self-care coach for women who are ready to make self-care a priority to support them in life and business. Every week, I'll be speaking with inspiring women from various walks of life who will share their personal journeys and will discover how they have fearlessly carved their own paths as business owners, passionately pursuing their dreams and creating a meaningful impact on their communities. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Extraordinary Life by Design podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, and today we're talking with Alta Acosta, the renowned personal trainer and holistic coach with over 17 years of experience in fitness and nutrition. She specializes in empowering women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s to overcome the unique challenges of perimenopause to postmenopause, helping them regain strength, confidence, and vitality. Her mission goes beyond physical transformation. She guides women to rediscover authentic happiness and create a foundation for lasting fulfillment. Using personalized plans that integrate strength training, nutrition, and sustainable lifestyle habits, Alta addresses common concerns like weight gain, shifting body composition, low energy, and menopausal symptoms. Her approach emphasizes natural, effective strategies that empower women to thrive in their lives and bodies. I am so thrilled to have you join me today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Leslie. I'm so happy to be here.
I am equally thrilled to have you here. We've known each other for a few months now, and in that time, I've really come to admire you a lot because for me, you're an incredibly strong woman. You've overcome so much in your life, and your resilience and determination inspire me every day. You know, the way you show up, the way you lead, the way you support other people in your communities, your family, the communities that you're part of really is something special. And I know that our listeners are really going to gain so much from this conversation. So let's get started. Your work is all about helping women feel strong, confident, and energized, especially as they navigate life's transitions. So what inspired you to become a personal trainer and holistic coach? And how did your journey lead you to specialize in this area?
Well, I first started teaching group fitness classes, which was just so much fun. Just leading groups through fitness and the music and the community. And it really inspired me, getting through college, which had nothing to do with fitness and personal training. And then getting out and being like, what do you want to do? How do you want to spend your time? What do you want your career to look like? And I began with personal training. I was lucky enough to find a gym that focused on women and helping them thrive. And it was just such a wonderful experience right from the beginning of my career to be able to work with women who are 40 and above, who are really just ready for a change and to really empower themselves to live their best life. And I had such a wonderful experience with them that as I continued with my career, they were the only group that I really, really wanted to work with. And that reason being is that women tend to be a little bit more open to learning, taking in that knowledge and going, I'm going to take this and run with it. Not only that, but you'll notice a domino effect that when a woman feels wonderful, they want to share that with everyone around them. And that is powerful. They share it with their family. They share it with their coworkers, their community. And it has such a positive domino effect on their life and then everyone around them that it is just the most powerful thing I have ever seen. Now, my previous career, I was a saleswoman for Nordstrom, which was such a wonderful experience as well, working with women, selling fabulous things to women, and helping them feel fantastic. However, there was a lack of joy to selling a pair of jeans, right? And so now I think about it this way. I'm still in sales, but I sell strength, vitality, joy, things that are far more long lasting and have a much more profound experience or domino effect on women's life. And I'm not just talking about their fitness or their mental health. I'm talking about it leads out into all areas of their life. And so feeling that and knowing that just keeps me going. So I really was happy to be working with women who were perimenopausal to postmenopausal. In my younger years in career, I didn't realize that was the woman that I was drawn to work with. And I also didn't realize how little of information there was really available to women. I mean, we're talking about studies that are not even done on women that they're now saying, well, these things, like these are the elements that you need to do. But they're not even getting that information from a study that was based on a woman. We're just now starting to do studies on women for women, right? We're just having new certifications coming out for personal trainers, nutritionists to help really get them to specialize and understand, oh, they're not supposed to train the way that they did in their 20s because their body is no longer in that space. So it's a wonderful place to be right now. And I've said this more than once recently to colleagues, to clients, is that I'm so hopeful for the future of women, especially women who are going to experience perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, because I feel like we're in the last era, the last decades of a woman to go through that experience alone, or feeling alone, or lacking information, or not being able to connect with the necessary professionals, doctors, homeopaths, anyone that could help benefit them that maybe was still stuck in the dark ages, we'll call it, right? Not ready to really give them what they needed. So now people are specializing in these things. There are groups coming together, doctors coming together to specialize in helping women through this. So it's such a wonderful time to be in because no longer will you feel alone. No longer will only misinformation be available. Now there is the correct information and the people like myself here ready to help women like that who are experiencing these things. So that was a really long-winded way of saying.
No, but I love it. No,
Yeah.
I love it. And the thing is, there's a couple things that really come to mind for me is that I love that how you said it. We're hopefully like in the last time that a woman is going to feel like she's alone in these changes of life because, some women go through menopause very early in age. And it just depends on their health. But, and if there's not that education out there, if the education wasn't out there for them to at least know, okay, this is what you're experiencing. This is why your body's changing the way it is, why your hormones are the way they are, why your metabolism has changed, why you can't eat the same way that you used to, why exercising the way that you used to doesn't really match you anymore. And I think, especially because I've gone through all of those stages. I'm now in that postmenopausal stage, and I had to learn a lot of these things trial and error. But what's been really fabulous is I am in that era now where there are women like yourself out there talking about it. So I don't have to feel like, oh, I'm going through things alone. I have no clue what to do. I'm going to have to keep trying and trying something and then maybe failing and getting frustrated and having to try something else. But instead having someone out there who's already saying, okay, I've been working with women like you for many years. I've started looking at different reasons why, and I can help you. I think that's so important because I think you're right. We can feel alone. And I also feel like, especially, there are people out there that might tell you to do XYZ, and they might not even have talked about the different stages of menopause and not realizing like, oh, she's actually this stage And this is just based on her, I don't know, whatever that you have to do to test to see where she's at. But I just really think
Mhm.
that's important. I think there's just so many people out there that are, like you said, have misinformation, or they're looking for the information and maybe they're not sure where to go. But right now, as I said, I feel, especially being in the self-development space, that it's self-development is really taking off. I think for women, especially, are hungry to know. Like, I want the answers to my questions. Like, why am I feeling this way? And so I think that it's such a great thing that, what you're doing out there and helping women who are much older than you are, but that still you're making them feel like they're not alone and that they are important, and not to feel like, oh, well, that's just your lot in life.
Absolutely. And you said something very important, that you mentioned age, right? And something that's very important for women to remember, that the perimenopause experience, that beginning stages of getting one in closer toward menopause, can happen anywhere in their 40s, right? And so you may actually experience some aging changes for women in their 30s, but you don't usually notice it because it's so behind the scenes until mid 40s. And then a woman in their mid 40s wakes up one day and they're like, what happened? I'm
Mhm.
experiencing weight shift. I'm experiencing anxiety. My periods are so off now. Like, these are big signs that it's beginning, right? And you may not even have known that it was beginning years and years before that. And then I want to mention one more thing. So many women are experiencing medical menopause at very different ages. Someone in their 20s, 30s, 40s. I'm one of those people who experienced that. I am actually almost 3 years post menopause. I'm
Wow.
46, right? So it's really hard to look at someone and go, you are so far away from menopause, almost making a joke about it, right? So we need to be a little sensitive, because we really need to understand a woman's experience, right? What they've been through, what their lifestyle has been like. Now, keeping in mind that every woman, although there's about 22 symptoms that one can go, oh, this is menopause, this is menopause, this is menopause. However, a woman is going to, from woman to woman, is going to experience that very differently. And so it's really important to honor the woman in front of you versus this works for everyone, right? Because that's just not going to be true. There's going to be different ages, different lifestyles, different experiences. And it's important to honor all of those things. And although I did have to go through medical menopause actually at 42, it has been such an amazing experience for me to go through that. And keep in mind, when somebody goes through medical menopause, it's overnight. That light switch goes on and they experience almost all of the symptoms and magnified. So I not only got to experience what a lot of my women go through, but like times 1,000, it almost feels like. And so it really, was challenging, but it takes some time to process, figure out what's going on, and then remember, well, what can I do? And so that really solidified all of my 17 years of experience, all of my trials and errors with clients, and then my own trials and errors to go, okay, there's clarity now, right? And understanding and empathy that I now have because I had that experience. So although it was traumatizing, challenging, coming out on the other end, I can see why maybe that happened and what I can do to help other women even more so had I not had that experience.
Yeah, I love that you shared that, because someone could be going through medical menopause, like you were saying. And so you're being able to say, okay, I've experienced this and now I can help you around this. So thank you so much for sharing that. There's so much pressure on women to bounce back, right? Or constantly be striving for a certain body image. I know that when I was growing up, it was skinny. Like, skinny was the thing. It didn't matter if it wasn't about being in toned. It wasn't about being, having some muscle or anything. It was about just skinny. So how do you help your clients shift from quick fix mentalities to building a truly sustainable, healthy lifestyle that works for them?
Absolutely. And you nailed it with that one as well, right? We've been inundated since youth, since forever, that women needed to lose weight. You needed to be thin. And the way to do that was to eat less and work out hard. And that's what we did. That's what we did in our 20s. We did it in our 30s. We probably even tried it in our 40s. And then all of a sudden, you're trying, you're working hard, you're starving yourself and not seeing the results. And it's so frustrating because you're like, what is wrong with me? Well, let me tell you that there is nothing wrong with you. Your body is doing what it's designed to do. Unfortunately, we're doing the things that we were taught back in the day that were only promoting weight loss, skinny, thin, and not supporting a lifestyle, not supporting feeling strong, feeling energized, listening to your body. And so now it's so important that we shift that gear and try to rewire our brains. The wonderful thing, even more research coming out on neuroplasticity, is that we can learn from our past, we can learn from experiences and actually rewire our brains for new experiences, new ways of thinking, and new behaviors, which is fabulous. And so it's very important to think back on, like, why do I think these things? Why did I, or why do I hold that as the focus or the goal? And so it's not to say that any woman shouldn't or couldn't lose weight. If a woman wants to lose weight, I'm here to support. But that is oftentimes not my number one focus unless it's a client's number one focus. Again, who's the woman in front of me? What do they want to do in their life? How do they want to feel? How long do they want to live? And with that length of time they want to live, what do they want to be able to do? That longevity with their health, independence, then we go, okay, well, that, what we just discovered of what you desire in your life has nothing to do with your weight. But guess what? It might have something to do with how much muscle mass you have, how you want to eat, how you want to live, how you want to feel. And discussing that really helps get to the actual goal. And instead of just going, I want to lose X number of pounds, we go, if weight is a focus, and we know that women already have a challenging time keeping muscle mass, and we know muscle mass is very important for metabolism, meaning how much we might eat in one day just to maintain our weight or gain weight or lose weight, that would change with muscle mass. So we know we need muscle mass. We know we want strong bones. And then we can tailor what they're doing according to those goals and the things that they want to do and feel. And so oftentimes women will shift away from that naturally because all of a sudden that doesn't matter anymore. It's how they want to look, how they want to feel, and then we move forward with that. And so it's been really empowering to help women talk through these things and get outside of their head. This is one reason why it's so very beneficial to hire a professional, to hire a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, or a life coach, right? Because we're stuck in what we know, our experiences in our own bubble of the past and where we think we want to go. But when you can talk it out, all of a sudden you gain that clarity that maybe that doesn't matter anymore. Maybe it did when I was 20, but maybe in my 40-year-old body, my 50-year-old body, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100, those things might not matter anymore. But my health, my vitality, and my longevity all of a sudden are way more important. And guess what? Those actually spark more intrinsic motivation, right? The deep inside motivators than weight loss in and of itself. And those also then can have a positive domino effect into that type of goal if weight loss is an end goal for a client, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really just talking it out, getting more descriptive, really getting clarity. and moving forward from there.
Yeah, I love that. And you actually transitioned me into this next question so nicely because I wanted to talk about strength training because I know that's a huge part of what you teach, but it's
Mhm.
also it's not just about the muscles, and you've kind of been alluding to that. It's about building strength in all aspects of their life. So, how does strength training go beyond the gym and impact a woman's confidence, mindset, and daily well-being?
Absolutely. Functional training, right, is a method of training that absolutely plays out in all areas of our lives, right? Walking up and down the stairs, squatting down to pet your animal, pick up your kid or your grandkiddo. You want to rearrange your living room, you're not going to have to think twice about picking up that heavy coffee table, right? So gaining confidence within your body exudes out in all areas of your life. So if you are a boss lady and career woman, that translates into your confidence and how you move through the room, how you speak and how you treat other people. And that confidence of that ownership over your own life. And this is what I was talking about at the very beginning, that magic of how it really translates into all areas of one's life. And feeling strong in your body, feeling confident in your skin plays a role in how you see yourself, how you participate in your world, how you love on your family, how you move in day to day. If you find yourself stopping to think about any one thing, how am I going to tie my shoes? How am I going to fit in the airline seat? How am I going to carry my child or my grandkid? Am I going to be able to run and skip when I'm older and I want to play still? Right. So when a person, specifically a woman, needs motivation in the gym or to get started in a gym, all one has to think about is how much energy do I sit and think about all the things that I want to do but don't do, or I'm worried about doing because of lack of energy, lack of strength, lack of fitting into my clothes, right? All the things that people who do feel confident in their body, who do feel confident in their strength and their ability, don't have to think about. That's a lot of brain energy. And so that is, again, another magical thing that happens when you take on an appropriate strength training program or a well-rounded fitness program for oneself. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And I love how you talked about functional training. It is, what supports you. And I think a lot of women, specifically, I've seen the way you can tell when they walk into a gym. I haven't been in a gym in quite a few years now. I do mostly walking. I do work out at home a little. I'm not as active as I was once when I was much younger. And that's changing a little bit. But what I've noticed is when I was really serious about going to the gym, because I kind of lived there, and it was because I loved going. I loved how I
Mhm.
felt afterwards. And I wasn't there for 2 hours at a time. I wasn't there, I was in and out. I did my 30 minutes, I did my strength training, whatever muscle I was working on, and I was in and out, and I learned how to train because I had worked out with people who were trainers. One of the things, though, I noticed that and even hearing how some women would talk is that they would not feel so good about going into the gym if they didn't look a certain way, first. Like I have to be in shape before I can go in to the gym to get into shape, And so there's that
Mhm.
whole mindset around that. And I love the fact that you were talking about it becomes more of what I love is when I would see a woman who would walk in there and she'd be a much bigger woman and she would walk in owning herself and owning the space. And that I used to feel like I wanted to go up and give her a high five because I thought, you go,
Mhm.
girl. You're showing to like, I don't care what you think that I look like. I belong here. I'm coming in to get fit, strong, whatever that looks like for me. And I don't care what anyone else thinks. And so, anyways, I went off a little bit, but I wanted to bring that up because I know how hard it can be to feel, especially as a woman who I did go through a lot of body image issues growing up. As I mentioned, skinny was it. And that was a lot of it just because of the industry. Way back when I was much younger, I used to model, and the industry was then you had to be super skinny to the point where I always wondered, like, where did they think you were going to lose weight if it looked like you had nothing left to lose? So it was like, do you want to
Hmm.
cut off a limb, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I come from that background, and I remember even just, and I'm going to say this out loud, and it's something that I hadn't really owned it for a long time. And then when I started owning it, it was like, yeah, I used to think that, but that was my morphed way of thinking about what my body should look like. And the way to get there wasn't about eating healthy. It wasn't about, I was going to the gym, but the health part where I was starving myself, having below sometimes 600 to 900 calories and trying to work out. That's not sustainable. It's not healthy. Or to the point where there were days, I remember one time in specifically that I had told a friend of mine, I said to her, do you want to hear something great? I think that's how I said it. I said, I haven't eaten anything in 3 days. And I was so proud of it. And
Hmm.
I'm mortified when I think about my younger self saying that and being proud of it, but knowing that I was allowing the external world to tell me what the standard was for being healthy and what looking healthy looks like. And so I just love the fact that today it's not necessarily like you were saying earlier. If that is my client's goal where they want to lose weight, that's great. But I want to work on the things that are going to actually make you feel really good, that eventually that losing weight part comes naturally because you're not fixated on it, right?
Hmm.
So
Yes.
I just
Yes.
wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I actually want to speak on this idea of the gym. Now, the gym atmosphere has changed a bit, but there's still, that feeling when you walk in. And I've been in many different gyms, and I strongly encourage your audience to check out different gyms. Now, unfortunately, there's some areas where it's like there's one gym in town and that's all you get to go to. Totally get that. But here's my tip for that nowadays, women, okay? Because I know that we are all still sitting with that dysmorphia of our own body image and even other people's bodies image. We even project that out to others. And I want to remind you that a personal trainer and a gym, they're not there for you after you become fit and now you get started with those things. They're there for you now as you are now, where you're starting from, and can help get you to where you want to go. So there's no, I got to do this before. That's what they're there for your now. And I also want to speak to that a lot of women have become accustomed to going to a gym, but only utilizing the cardio equipment and not feeling comfortable in the weight room area, whether it's free weights, cable systems, or machines, because that was generally the dudes area. That's where the guys work out, right? And it almost felt like I need to ask permission to go in that space, or can I use this bench, or can I? And I want to remind you, women, you're paying the exact same membership rate as men. They're not paying an extra strength training gym space membership fee. So you have just as much right to take up space in every single area of that gym as does a man. All right. And one more funny little tip I want to remind you about. It's very easy to feel self-conscious, especially if you're uncertain of how to use a piece of machinery or not as experienced in the weight room. Okay. And I want you to let that go. Everyone has to start somewhere, and everybody has started somewhere. And then the funny part is I want to remind you that people, especially in the gym, are far more concerned with their own thing, whether how they look, how they're performing, or checking themselves out in the mirror than they are about you. Okay. And so you'll
Absolutely.
see that. Get to the gym and you'll see that people checking themselves out, recording themselves on their phone, right? So they're really not concerned about what you're doing. And I want to challenge every single woman listening to this to go in there with your head held high. Don't care about what you look like. If you want to wear makeup, wear makeup. If you don't, don't. If you wear something that you feel cute in, wear something you feel cute in. If you want to wear something you feel comfortable in, wear something you feel comfortable in. And maybe they're the same thing, right? But go in there because people are so more concerned with their own self that they might not even notice what you're doing or the space that you're taking up. But the person or the woman that might notice is the woman who wants to thank you for being there. Thank you for showing her what's possible. Maybe she's scared to go to the gym, or she's scared to move from the cardio equipment to the strength training. So if you have a challenge standing up for yourself, do it for the next woman. And you may feel more inspiration, more power, and more motivation to go in there and do that. And then you'll notice it's just such a wonderful feeling. And you can let go of that body image, let go of what you think other people might be thinking of you, and let that go and move on with your merry way.
Yeah, I love that. Great advice. So I want to move on to the next question because I think this is important. I believe in support, whether it's individualized or if it's in a group setting, if it's a community, if it's your friends, your family, whatever that looks like. I know that women thrive when we have that support and accountability. We thrive. I've seen it, I've felt it, I've experienced it. So, how important is community when it comes to long term success in health and wellness? And how do you encourage your clients to build that support system?
Absolutely. You know that saying that you become who you surround yourself with, right? Mm-hmm. So whether you surround yourself with people who are making poor health choices, you tend to then make poor health choices. And the reverse is absolutely true. If you surround yourself with women who are making healthy choices, who are focused on their goals, you tend to do those things. Not everyone in your world needs to be doing the same thing you're doing. So don't worry. You don't have to recruit your friends, your family to do things that they're not ready to do. But there are a lot of wonderful communities out there who have exactly like-minded individuals, those who are aiming for similar goals, those who are having similar struggles. And it's one wonderful way to, one, know that you're not alone, two, to get outside of yourself when it comes to solutions, and three, know you're on the right track because hopefully there's someone leading that can help guide you with the appropriate information and education. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important for me and what I do and why I developed my program, which is the Fit Menopause Method program, as a group coaching type of atmosphere. Now, remember, every woman's experience is her own. Every woman's workout needs are different. Nutritional needs are different. Lifestyle choices and needs are different. And so what we do is we have a baseline of, we know these things are wonderful for women who are going from perimenopause to postmenopause. And now the women within the program get to go, oh, okay, within this structure, this applies to me, and this could really fit in well with my values, the way I live, and what I feel my body needs. So within the group atmosphere, they can help to make it their own. Also within the group atmosphere, we also have our sisterhood community. So it's almost like a private Facebook group, but it's within my own personal fitness app group that come together and we talk about the struggles. We talk about symptoms. We keep each other accountable. We talk about the struggles and solutions. And so for women to have that availability of a group is so very powerful because they know that they can always come here, whether they are ready to support and cheer on others or ready to come in, be vulnerable, and ask for support. And that is really one of the pillars of success within the program, is within that sisterhood group, because they can come together with a like-minded group, even if everyone else outside of their life is not on the same page. And so it really helps them know they're not alone, keeps them accountable, finding solutions so they can continue to move forward even when they hit a roadblock.
Yeah, I love that. Well, last question. I've been trying to I'm going back between two questions that I wanted to ask you. And I'm thinking, I think I want to ask you about the women who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, because I know that's a demographic where I know that when I was in my mid 40s, I really started to feel like, is this all there is to life? Right. And so we start to feel even like our best years are behind us. We start to get to that. It's almost like I don't, it's not midlife crisis. I wouldn't say it's that, but I just feel like it's where we start to question our choices more and maybe feeling like it's too late to start focusing on doing anything else or even their health, especially if they've been a mom it's all been about their families and taking care of the family. And then now maybe they're an empty nester and now they've decided, I want to maybe get into good physical shape. I want to feel good about myself. What would you say to someone who might feel like they've missed their window to make a real change?
Yeah, very good question. And I'm going to start off by saying you're very right. The 40s to 50s is definitely where I see women kind of hit a wall for a moment. And that's because that's when the biggest changes tend to happen, right? When that menopause really starts kicking in. And so that's where the biggest dives in hormones begin to happen and do happen. So that's where the shift, that's when you really start noticing how the symptoms are creeping up on you. And it can make a woman feel like she is going crazy. And I'm just talking about the menopause experience. Now, on top of that, you also think about, well, what's generally happened in your 40s, 50s? You've been in your career for a while. You're either ready to stick with it or maybe you're ready for a change. If you've had kids, they're likely growing up, becoming more independent. Maybe you're moving into a more of a empty nester type of life, right? Aging parents. There's so many other life experiences that are happening at that time that also make one feel like this is the beginning of the end, right? When in fact, it's not the beginning of an end, but it is a lot of changes. But if you can, again, rewire your thoughts on, you know what, this is actually a closing of a chapter, but it's opening up a whole new chapter. And this is actually my opportunity now to get even more focused on myself. What do I want as I live out the remainder of my beautiful, long life in all areas of my life, my social, my personal, my physical, my emotional, right? And it's a wonderful opportunity to kind of take stock. Like, what have I experienced? What do I want to experience moving forward? And what's changing? What's out of my control, but what is in my control? And that's the big question. What is in my control? And so the question was, what do you say to somebody who maybe feels like this is the end of their story? I love to say, this is just the beginning of your next chapter. One where you hopefully will feel even more in control, wiser, because you have so much experience and ready to take on all the things in your way. And so it is the perfect opportunity to begin anew. How do you want to wipe clean, fresh slate, all of the yuck from the past and bring more hope, more clarity, and feeling your best moving forward? And when they're ready to take that on, it's so wonderful to see because you see this transition of this is the end to this is their fresh slate start. And given that, they run with it, they go with it, and they can change their body to feel even stronger, a higher metabolism that they did when they were younger with the right structure and plan in place. So even if you've never lifted a weight in your life, you can now. It's never too late to get started. In my experience, I've had women in their 70s and 80s come to the gym for the very first time. And I actually love it because, again, it's such a clean slate and so much can be learned and staying curious about what your body is actually capable of doing. And now, if you think about a woman in their 40s, 50s, their bodies probably have already done amazing things. And now it's ready to take on some new things. And so kickstarting a workout program, focusing on how optimal nutrition can actually boost all of their things that they want to do. It can boost their energy, help them sleep better, help balance hormones better, and also help aid any of your physical challenges, right? So starting or restarting or opening up a new chapter in the ages of 40, 50 is a wonderful opportunity. So it's a flip of the thought and getting more clear in what you want, because it's all totally possible.
Absolutely. Wow, Alta, thank you so much for spending time with me today, sharing your passion. I am like blown away by you. Like I said, I've known you for a little while now, but I just feel like you have such a passion. It comes through on how you want women to feel strong, to feel confident, to be energized through every stage of their lives, and your approach, I believe, to fitness, nutrition, and overall well-being is empowering because it's not about the things that are out there that people typically gravitate to listening to. It's more about individualized and talking about your body and how your body is reacting, responding. So I know the women that are listening are going to be walking away inspired by what you shared today. So, and again, the women that you're helping to move past their struggles of midlife, I think is incredible. You've been doing this for quite some time now. And it's such an important conversation that I wish I'd had someone like you in my life when I started going through those changes, because I didn't really have anybody close to me because my mom had already had, my mom had a hysterectomy after my youngest brother had been born. So I didn't really have my mom to lean on to tell me. And I didn't have sisters, so it was just my brothers. So, it's such an important conversation. And I really appreciate that you came today and shared what you know and your wisdom with our listeners. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Leslie. Thank you for opening up this space for us to even be able to talk about it. Very much appreciative of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners, if you would like to connect with Alta and learn more about her coaching, her resources, you can find her contact information in the show notes. Remember, every small step you take towards your well-being matters. You deserve to feel strong, confident, and vibrant at any stage of your life. It starts with prioritizing you, learning to trust the process, and knowing that lasting change is always within reach. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep designing your extraordinary life one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on Her Extraordinary Life by Design. I hope you've been inspired and empowered by the incredible stories shared on this show. If you enjoyed this episode and the conversations we've had, I would greatly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback and support mean the world to me, and it will help others discover the podcast and join our empowering community. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Together, we can continue to learn from these amazing women, uncover their extraordinary journeys, and be motivated to create our own lives by design. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, stay empowered and keep shaping your extraordinary life one day at a time.
Electricast.